season four. We're really kicking it into overdrive here in season four. I love to start off with some really powerful guests, and I am not pulling punches again today. I have Arthur from Phones with Chords, who's the
Yeah.
brainchild behind this band, I guess we'd call it, or name, or a moniker, whatever you
Yeah.
might want to throw a tag on it.
Mhm.
It's really amazing music, all at like very DIY bedroom,
Yeah.
dreamy, indie poppy. It's like all the little tingly things that indie listeners like, or you'll
Yeah.
find on this record. It's tingles me still as I listen to it today.
Yeah.
So Arthur, thanks so much for hopping on here and chatting a little bit about your musical story.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm glad to be here.
Cool. Where are we finding you? Where are you coming in from?
So I'm outside of Nashville, just kind of like northwest of town. Yeah, so just a little small town.
Is that
So
where you
yeah, but
grew
the
up? Is that
Nashville area. So
right? Is that your hometown that you live in still, or
not my hometown. I I grew up most of the time here. I was actually born in Athens, Georgia, and then we moved away when I was little. And so I've lived in these little suburban towns outside of Nashville. Like my dad was a journalist, and so he had his like main like paper job in Nashville. So we've kind of lived, growing up, I lived in these little, like I said, little like suburban towns outside, but never really in Nashville proper. So
cool? Cool.
yeah.
Um, do you find being close to Nashville has helped your music? Like, it's such a vibrant place for music that is
Yeah.
was that one of your intentions going close to Nashville? Is just so that you're close to that hub?
I actually so I actually have a pretty love hate with
Okay.
because I grew up like, you know, like went to high school,
Hmm.
here. I've been here most of my life. And so
Okay.
it's so for us going to Nashville was like, oh, it's in high school, it was like Friday night and let's go walk Broadway kind of thing.
Yeah.
So I never really just country music really, or, was never really a thing that I was really drawn to until later, like
Right.
in my like 20s and 30s when I like discovered a lot of like kind of older country
Yeah.
type stuff. But like I struggle even now because Nashville has become, I mean, it's just a whole nother animal now. And
Mm.
so um I don't really have any um connection with the city as far as musically now.
Okay.
It
Okay.
just happens to be where I live.
Right.
So yeah. So and I appreciate like I actually my brother is a he's like an archivist and he works at the Country Music Hall of Fame
Oh
and
wow.
does work there and stuff.
Yeah.
And so um I feel a connection to that early country music history, but I
Yeah.
like nowadays I'm like, yeah, I
Yeah. Country music's changed, hasn't it?
really has. Yeah, it really has. And I am just not there's nothing about it, at least like country radio, that's
Right.
really appealing to me. So
Right. Right.
yeah.
Well, Arthur, let's start off like I
Yeah.
love asking this question to start
Hmm.
as to like where did it all start for you like music wise? Like
Yeah.
what was your first like influences, and then when did your personal music fold into that whole kind of love for music?
Yeah. I was actually thinking about this the other day. Like, what is my
Mm.
first moment of listening to music? And I think my earliest memory of listening to music was just one Christmas getting it was like an oldies mixtape
Mm.
where it was just like all the best of the oldies, like Yakety Yak and, La Bamba and all those songs. And
Beauties. Yeah.
I remember sitting there in this like my grandpa's old like lazy boy and listening to that
Mm.
and really loving it, but then I didn't really get into playing music or writing music until late high school.
Okay.
And on a whim, I asked my mom for a guitar, and we went to this pawn shop, and she got me essentially the crappiest guitar that anyone could start playing guitar on.
Right.
It was so bad. And but I took it up to my room, closed the door, and it was like, I think that was the beginning where I just the the possibilities just seemed endless.
Right.
And
Right.
I never I never was like the guy. I learned a couple songs, but I was never like learning covers. I just almost instinctively from the beginning just wanted to write little riffs or come up with things on my own. So
Well, well, had that been, was that kind of a catalyst for asking your mom for that guitar, that you kind of had these things swirling around and were like, hey, I wonder if we
yeah,
could turn this into the physical world?
yeah, I think I didn't. There was a shift in me because I was really into like athletics, play basketball and everything,
Yeah.
and I'd actually quit basketball my senior year, and I was trying to fill the void of what sports had meant to me.
Okay.
And so I just, like I said, on a whim, I was like, oh, it'd be cool to do something totally different and get a
Right.
guitar,
Right.
And so, yeah, but I don't think I was really aware of the things that were going on in my head and the things that I was thinking until I got the instrument,
Hmm.
and then and stuff started spilling out. I was like, okay,
Well,
well, this is a processing thing,
yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
which still is.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And when you were first starting to kind of play, and
Yeah.
like, what were you trying to emulate, or what style were you trying to, that you were close to, that you wanted, you that inspired you to
Yeah.
write the songs? Like, what were you
Yeah.
listening to, and like, what was your objective? Like, I want it to sound like,
Yeah.
yeah.
I think it was two things. So I mean, obviously I grew up in the South and in the church. So there was things that I was emulating in two different worlds. So it was like Jars of Clay. I don't know if you remember that band
Yeah.
back in the day.
Yeah.
I was like huge into them as I was a youth
Okay.
group kid. It's
Yeah.
like I wanted to be Jars of Clay so bad. And then on the other side, I guess more secular stuff, it was like Oasis, and like I remember learning Wonderwall, which is so
Hmm.
weird, because they've just
Yeah.
announced those shows.
Yeah.
And
Was it 30 years later, or 30?
yeah,
Yeah.
I remember a moment with learning Wonderwall. It was the first time. My brother's just very to the point,
Hmm.
and that was the first song that I had learned. He goes, "That actually sounds like the song," because
Cool.
apparently I was just butchering every other song I tried to learn. And he was like, "Actually sounds like it." Um, so
Well,
yeah,
every
it was like,
step is a step in your journey, right? I mean, you got to
yeah.
go through some of the lows to get to the
Oh,
highs.
heck yeah, yeah, yeah. So yeah, it was a little bit of both worlds like that. And then my dad would bring home, because being a journalist and stuff, he would bring home, these like little sampler CDs that people sent in,
Cool.
and there would just be a pile of like a kind of a bargain rack at the paper, and he would just like, oh, Arthur might like this, and he
Hmm.
would bring it home, and
No, that's
that
sweet.
exposed me to some cool stuff.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah. That's cool. That's
Yeah.
cool. And what was your first? So you started in high school. Did you
Hmm.
get together with other people, colleagues, to play together, or did that happen a little bit later than high school?
So once well, yeah, in late high school, I had become friends with still guys that I still kind of keep up with,
Yeah.
and we had a band, and we were just there was one like all ages venue that was like a little bit. I mean, it was close enough that it wasn't super far for us to drive, and we would play there.
Hmm.
And but it's weird because it's like I haven't. That was really the only like collective band that I think I've ever been in. After that, I just started really doing my music on my own. It ended up
Hmm.
being the situation where I would go into the studio and put a band together just for the album,
Okay. Okay.
but never, I mean, and there's been a couple of times where I've toured and had a band, but it's not been like that that first band you have where you're
Right.
just like playing in a garage and
Yeah.
you don't play with anybody else, and this is you're just cutting your teeth.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
And what was your decision to kind of want to do it on your own, to kind of be the
Yeah.
everything for the music you want to make? What was that decision process like, Arthur?
I think it was just looking uh looking at songwriting. I when I got the guitar, I started writing, but I didn't really know what songwriting was, or I didn't
Mm,
know who songwriters were. And one of the only artists that my dad, I remember my dad listening to or singing along to on the radio was James Taylor.
mm,
And so
yeah,
I remember Fire and Rain would come on, and I would hear him singing
mm,
to that. And I think even subconsciously, I thought, man, I like one individual wrote the song. And, and so I think I started kind of looking around and saying, okay, well, songwriters write the songs. And I think that's what I want to do. It's not necessarily to like have a band or be a rock star, but
mm,
just to, I think the craft is during that time, I was just like, oh, okay, now I know what I want to do. I want to write songs.
right, right,
Yeah.
right. That's cool.
Yeah.
And what's your process like, Arthur? How does an idea that you might have, a line, a phrase, how does that evolve into something that you'd put down on tape?
So this is honestly perfect, like for that question, because I always typically go to and to explain, like, I'll sit down with a guitar or whatever. But
Mm,
just today,
mhm,
I one of my daughters had a cross country meet, and so I went to that, and I was just waiting for it to happen, and I just started kind of like hearing or like a line in my head, and so
mm,
I'm big on. I'll just pull up the notes app on my phone,
right.
and I wrote like even looking at it when I got back today, I was like, okay, this song is pretty much done. I've just got to like find the right key and but I didn't have an instrument with me, and I'm just
Yeah.
like hearing this internal melody, and I know if like anyone's around me, they're like, "What is he doing?" Because I'm just like tapping, and then when no one was looking, I would just like sing it into my phone. And that's really Phones with Chords is that idea, and it's kind of a
Right.
stupid name, but the idea that really songs for me. I mean, once the smartphone, I got one of that, and just the voice memo app.
Yeah.
It just changed everything for me
Wow. Wow.
because I will write so much stuff that I'll forget about, and then every now and then I'll just start. It's like treasure troving.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
just
Yeah.
go
Yeah.
back through and like, oh crap, I love that. Why didn't I do anything with that?
Cool. Cool.
Um, so yeah. So I think for me, it can be at any moment. I still do me and a guitar kind of stuff where I
Yeah.
just sit down. I've been writing the last couple of years where it's just me, and I'll start with like a beat or something in Logic and then build it out that way.
Okay.
But yeah, I'm just kind of wide open. It just comes in so many different angles.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
And I mean, I guess when you have an inventory as well, if you're ever kind of like blanking on new things, you always have that
Yeah.
little treasure chest you can go to, eh? And just pull
Yeah.
something out that you've already kind of started.
Yeah. It's like
That's cool.
I don't know if you have this wherever you live, but it's very common to just like go down a road and some guy has just got essentially a junkyard on his
Okay.
property, and
Yeah.
it's like 50 to 100 cars, and it's just everywhere, and it's like, and people come and they're like, "Oh, I need this part off of this car." And I feel like that's what I do. I just like
Cool.
I'm very like obsessive about not throwing anything away,
Right. Right.
and so then I just go back to my phone or I go back into my files on my computer, and I'm like, oh yeah, I just pull that out. Like I'm constantly like borrowing, you know? And it's so
Great.
weird because sometimes I'm like, I think I'm stealing this from somebody else. And then I'm realizing I'm stealing it for myself, you
Right.
know? It's something that I like 8 years ago. Yeah. So it's funny.
That's funny, man.
Yeah.
That's really cool. And how did this latest record that's coming out? We were just talking about this.
Yeah.
coming out next week,
Yeah.
Friday the 13th
Yeah.
of this September.
Yeah.
How did this record come to be? What was how
Yeah.
did it start? What are these a collection of songs that you sat down to write for a record, or is it similar to what we've been talking about where it was like songs from long year-long
Yeah.
history?
Actually, this record was I was right. I thought I was going in a certain direction. I was working on these other batch of songs,
Yep.
and then over the holidays this past year, I wrote one song. I was really just contemplating my kids are all in high school and they're getting older, and I'm just like
Mm, mm,
just feeling kind of my life kind of like just flashing before me.
mm.
And I wrote this one song. I'm a big believer in the like sometimes there's gateway songs
Yeah.
where one song will just kind of open the door just enough, and then you're like, oh, there's all kinds of stuff in this room, you know.
Amazing.
And
Amazing.
so yeah, I started writing and all these. There's just a lot of songs about time and the past,
Mm,
you know, just
mhm.
things going by quickly and things like that. And so Um, but they were all written on the electric guitar, which I don't typically write on the electric. My brother, he was like, had this kind of cheap electric. He's like, do you want to, I don't use this. Do you want to have it or borrow it? And I was like,
Mm.
sure. And just writing on the electric guitar opened up so much.
Oh,
And then I was just like, okay, this is where I'm going.
that's cool.
And just kind of like, I don't know. I feel like I write in batches where it's like, I'll write in a certain vein, like 20 songs, and I'm like, whoa, where did that come from? You know?
Right.
And so
Right.
yeah, so
Is
that's
there
kind of where it started.
Yeah. Arthur, is there a persona that like you say, like I
Yeah,
love that illusion you create of opening a song will open a door to a whole other batch of songs.
yeah,
W- Do you keep that same persona of the song that opened that door? Um, I guess I
yeah.
don't know, in the sense that you keep that style or you keep that lyrical
Mhm.
thread or you keep that kind of sentiment of that song and you kind of build up around that kind of aesthetic you're
Yeah,
looking for.
that's a great question. Yeah, I think in ways I think it's just that song, like I said, opens the door, and then you get
Yeah.
in there, and then there's like you realize everything in the room is has a thread.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
everything is connected, everything is kind of in, and really your only job is just to take the time to work to work out the material, you know, to kind of see what's in that room
Yeah.
come to fruition.
Hmm.
And it's not that you're like, okay, I'm going to put on this jacket and I'm going to be this certain person. It's just
Okay.
like, okay, I'm going to accept what this is instead of
Hmm.
trying to make it something else.
Hmm.
Just kind of like, because there's a couple songs that I thought, I don't know how this is going to fit on there. But then at the end, I'm like, okay, I think it still does, even though it's like really different.
Okay. Okay.
So
That's
yeah,
cool.
I love that question.
Yeah. No, I mean, I really like this record.
Yeah,
So first off, people go buy this record, support Phones with
thank you.
Chords. I mean, it's
Yeah,
such a great bunch of songs as well. I
yeah,
listened back to your catalog,
yeah,
and this record in particular, it seems like you were had reached out to some more collaborators, or was this still very much
yeah.
you kept it close to heart?
Well, I I do everything at my house, just kind of like all the recording. But I had met the record before this. I did a collaborative album with uh, this guy Ben that's in this band called A Place for Owls. They're from Denver, and they're like kind of like emo
Yeah.
or emo adjacent or whatever. And like I grew up on that style, you know, and so I've just kind of made friends with them, and they're like younger guys, and I'm not really in that scene anymore, but it's just
Right.
they're just really cool people. But one of the guitarist for that band, Nick Weber, we connected, and then he's just super talented guy, and I just started. He became like my sounding board for these songs, and so I would just send him the demos, the really just crappy demos, And he's like, this is great, man. And
Yeah.
so we ended up talking, and he was like, I would love to mix this. And so, but he actually did more than mixing. He was kind of like, we co-produced it in that he was like there the whole process. And so I would send him an early edition of a song, and then I would go back and work again, and then I would add all this stuff, and he's like, "Oh, this is even better," and like, so it was a constant back and forth, and I realized I really worked that way. Like I think why Nashville, I didn't really feel like I fit in Nashville is because it's about co-writing in a
Mm,
room,
mm,
getting three or four people to write a song.
mm,
That's the kind of the common thing, and
mm.
I'm more of a let me be by myself, work something out, then send it to someone,
Okay.
get their feedback, and then that. So there's more of a like a just a natural back and forth rather than a like, okay, I've got to somehow bond with four
Mm.
other people in a room. I'm like, I need time.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So
Did you find that it was helpful to have that sounding board of, I mean,
yeah,
because you had done stuff by yourself, purely
yeah,
by yourself, right? Where you don't have that sounding board. What did you notice the differences in the outcome of your
yeah.
songs?
Well, I will say that the record, this my second record. Somebody had to. I worked with this guy Connor Ryan, and we had a similar kind of back and forth too,
Hmm.
very similar. The only record I've truly the phone stuff that I've truly just done on my own was my first album, and so I've realized that I work well with one other person,
Hmm.
like one other person that is like, okay, we're gonna have this back and forth relationship, and we're gonna like work together to make this thing the best that it can be. I've realized that that's a pattern for me.
Right.
And two, like I have a thing. I like to. I feel like if in the end you have a good record and you also have another good friend,
Hmm.
then that's. I mean, how
That's
can you
cool,
ask
man.
for more than that? Yeah,
That's cool. Yeah,
yeah,
absolutely. And what kind of bringing things to a close, Arthur?
yeah,
Again, thanks so much for joining me. I
yeah.
mean, some of your imageries and comments are really enlightening and
Thank
just
you.
really cool. What
Yeah.
what does the future hold for this record, the release 2024? What do you plan on doing with the record once it hits the ground there on Friday?
Yeah, so I'm obviously just releasing it, and I've there's another so I wrote so many songs that we were actually for a little bit contemplating doing like a double album, but we
Hmm.
realized like this is way too much stuff.
Right.
So the next record after this, which I've already even started on, is it's I think gonna be it's going to kind of be like a follow up to this, but they're going to be connected in some way. I don't think
Okay.
it's going to be like a double album type of situation, but I think they'll almost be like bookends there. And so, yeah, so I'm working on that. I hope to just get this album out, and
Mhm.
um,
You plan on doing any shows with it, a launch show or anything like that?
yeah, part of phones, me starting phones is that I just where my life is, I don't really have the time or energy
Right.
or
Right.
resources to tour.
Sure, sure.
So I'm just like, okay,. But I can make records.
Right.
So my goal, my 5 year goal when I started phones was to have enough material maybe out and built up maybe a base enough that maybe at the end of that I can maybe do some shows. And I may do some shows before then. But I think the pressure to just get out on the road is something that I'm just not
Right.
ready to take on right now.
Sure, for
So
sure. Well, I mean, the
yeah,
landscape of music nowadays is artists do it in so many different ways. Some people
yeah,
never tour, some
yeah,
just write to tour. So,
yeah,
I mean, it's whatever floats your boat, really.
yeah,
As long as you keep writing, Arthur, this
yeah,
guy
man.
right here will be happy. So,
Oh yeah, no, there's definitely no chance that I'm going to stop writing.
right on, right on.
But yeah, one of these days I'll get out there.
Cool, cool. Or I'll get down there. I've always wanted to come to
Oh yeah,
Nashville to check it out and just,
yeah. Come on,
like you
man.
said, walk that strip and pop into
Yeah,
this country bar and that country bar, eat some hot
yeah,
chicken. You know what I'm saying?
yeah. Oh yeah, dude. That stuff will set you on fire, man.
Right on, right
Yeah,
on.
yeah,
Well, I wish you all the best with this. I'll definitely keep you on the radar.
yeah, for
And
sure.
like I said, all the best with it. And thanks so much again for joining me today to talk a little bit
Yeah.
about you
It,
and this great band, Phones
thanks
with
so much.
Chords.
I appreciate it.
Cheers, man.
Yeah.
With your love, I can't go wrong. Without it, I don't wanna know where I'd be. I know you need